A police-involved shooting turning deadly in Coconut Creek.
One suspect killed, another in custody, and 3 officers injured during the incident. Local 10 News reporter Syra Onwer is live on the scene with the latest. Syra.
And a police canine was also injured in this incident. It all happened in this business complex in Coconut Creek last night around 8:30. According to police, it all happened on the 4400 block of Hillsborough Boulevard outside a business complex around 8:30 Monday night.
Live on the next street over, and about 8:30 we heard a bunch of shots fired, and wife's like, "Those are firecrackers." I'm like, "No, those are gunshots."
So much privilege right here. Ever since I moved, man, out of DC, it's amazing when you leave these San Francisco, New York, or Manhattan, DC, these liberal cities, and this, you learn very quickly that privilege is a lie, man. These people struggling. Y'all give these people, y'all put them on a pedestal because y'all live in these democratically run cities with the suit and tie liberals with the degrees from all over the country that came to this one place. I promise you, leave your democratically run city and you'll never talk about privilege again.
Live on the next street over, and about 8:30 we heard a bunch of shots fired, and wife's like, "Those are firecrackers." I'm like, "No, those are gunshots."
Coconut Creek police say that's when officers saw 2 people in a car that was reported stolen out of Parkland. Police have not yet released what led up to a shooting, but say the driver of the stolen car, a woman, is now dead, and the man in the passenger seat is in custody with charges pending. Coconut Creek police say 2 officers fired their weapons and are now on administrative leave per police policy. Police say 3 officers were taken to a nearby hospital for treatment after the shooting. A police canine was also injured and was taken to an animal hospital. Now, at last update, all 3 officers were released from the hospital. They are okay. That canine is still being treated for its injuries. They have not released the names of anyone involved. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement is now handling this investigation. That is the very latest live in Coconut Creek. Syra Onwer, Local 10 News.
Okay, so a woman from Boca Raton was killed in a police shooting in Coconut Creek. Police said an officer stopped a white Mercedes for speeding. Kind of like our buddy, if you saw the video the other day, our CBS Philly news reporter, he got stopped for speeding too. But he claimed the officer had other motives. So this woman was stopped for speeding. Officers later learned that the car was reported stolen. After 2 officers arrived as backup, police said the driver, identified as Brittany Muldrew, 36, of Boca Raton, drove the car in reverse towards officers. 2 officers fired their weapons, striking Muldrew and killing her. Now, we haven't heard about this, so you know for a fact, and you guys saw the thumbnail, so you already knew, but you hadn't heard about this. So you knew for a fact that this woman was a glacier glider. The passenger in the car, Levon Lopez, hard to tell what he is, 49, of Boca Raton, was not hurt. Coconut Creek police say he's being charged with murder while engaged in a felony offense in grand theft auto. So they're putting the body on him. Poor Levon getting the body, because you know if you commit a crime and someone dies, that's your body. Hit one if you knew that. If you committing a felony crime and someone dies, no matter how they die, they bump their head, that's your body. So here's 36 Brittany Muldrew. 36? That must be a typo, man. That's got to be a typo, man. That's got, or a metho. A typo or a metho. Wow. But regardless of what this woman was into, they still ain't had to kill her. Stealing a car ain't a death sentence. Right? Wrong. You won't hear none of that. You're just a dead glacier glider woman in the history books. Case closed.
Following another officer-involved shooting, this one in Miami Shores.
And police killing an armed woman outside of a home. Let's go to Local 10 Sanella Sabovic live at the scene now with what we're learning about the victim and the weapon tonight. Sanella.
Well, Calvin and Nicole, 7 hours later, still remains a very active scene here in Miami Shores. As you can see, 95th Street is still shut down in both directions following this officer-involved shooting. And we had a chance to speak to the victim's family. They say this absolutely did not need to happen, that the woman needed help. She suffered from mental health issues. Police, on the other hand, say that when they responded to the home, the woman pointed what they thought was a gun at them. Turns out it was actually a pellet gun.
Okay. So where's Abogado El Crumpo? El Crumpo, y'all need y'all a crump, man. Like, seriously, man. Like, she was mentally ill, and the gun she pointed at the officer was a pellet gun. The officer should have known. Cops should be able to tell the difference between a pellet gun and a real gun in a high pressurized situation just at a glance, man. Oh, y'all don't expect cops to be perfect? Oh, that's only in the stand, man. Stand got a high count of glacier gliders. We think glacier gliders. We think y'all supposed to be able to watch y'all tongue. Y'all supposed to know what y'all mean. Everything, not say anything to offend anybody. Never make a mistake. We here in the Sun Belt in Blackistan, we hold glacier gliders to a high standard, man. Any mistake, we on them. And they don't make many. But when they do, we sure do spotlight it. I'm seeing that the Hombritos, they don't hold glacier gliders in such high esteem.
Eso, abuso y excesivo de la...
Abusive and excessive is what family and friends are calling a police-involved shooting in Miami Shores. They have identified the victim gunned down by police as 48-year-old Etiana Planellas and say she cared for her elderly mother, but also suffered from mental health issues.
Es una señora de casa, tiene problema mental.
These family members say she was shot in front of her own mother at their home, located at 68 Northwest 95th Street Monday afternoon. Miami Shores Police Chief Kevin Lystad says his officers responded to a disturbance call, and once they arrived, they found Planellas with what appeared to be a semi-automatic handgun.
The weapon was pointed toward the officer. The officer felt for his safety and fired at the victim.
That gun was actually a pellet gun, seen here in this picture provided by police.
Now I know we have some gun aficionados here, man. And we have some law enforcement people here in the nation. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Take the $5 challenge. Donate via PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. But all of you guys that are familiar with guns, even we got some military, would you know, you don't know the situation. You'll just see this gun. We'll not even put it in the person's hand. We'll just say you're walking down the street and you see this. Do you instantly say, Oh, that's a pellet gun. Hit one if you instantly just glance at that. Oh, that's a pellet gun. Or would you have to examine it? Or even fire it? Or what would you have to do before you figured out that this was not a real gun but a pellet gun? Because me, I see this, I'm thinking that's a gun, man. But the officers, they posted, and you saw one of the hombritos is of the sun. They got a sun hombrito, so you know things getting dicey, man. They might expect perfection from Glacier Gliders.
The weapon was pointed toward the officer. The officer felt for his safety and fired at the victim.
That gun was actually a pellet gun, seen here in this picture provided by police.
I know that there was some dialogue as far as the weapon and dropping the weapon.
Officers say this home is very familiar to them.
We do have other calls at this house. There are a number of calls over the years at this particular location for various reasons. There is a history of mental health. I don't know if that was actually in play at this particular moment. That'll be...
So the police chief tells me he's not aware of any exchange of gunfire, that the only person that fired was actually the officer. And as customary with all officer-involved shootings, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is investigating this case. That's the latest here from Miami Shores. Sinella Sabovic, Local 10 News.
Showing you the scene of a deadly shooting where police shot and killed a woman.
This is at 68 Northwest 95th Street, and it happened just after 4:30 p.m. CBS 4's Jessica Vallejo is live at the scene now. And Jessica, what have you been able to confirm?
What we have confirmed is that this was a police-involved shooting with the Miami Shores Police Department. And right now, family members on scene say this 45-year-old woman on your screen was the woman who died. Etiana Planelas. Family members tell us she owned the Miami Shores home where the shooting happened and lived with her mother. They told us she was a sweet woman and very loved. Now, right now, as you can imagine, that family distraught. Now, this remains an active investigation. Here's a bird's eye view from Shopper 4. Multiple units remain outside the house of 68 Northwest 95th Street. Miami-Dade Police and Fire Rescue assisting Miami Shores Police. Again, this very much developing still. How it all unfolded is still unknown. But a neighbor I did speak to just moments ago said he heard multiple shots fired.
Wow, look at the family. They're visibly distraught. I haven't heard anything from CNN or MSNBC. She is a person of color. Maybe she's not colored enough. Maybe she, you know, I don't know, man. They choose these things differently, man. I mean, this woman was gunned down by an officer at her home. She's a person of color, which means she didn't do nothing. And it was completely racial. Oh! What if the officer was also a POC? That might have something to do with it. But usually we don't see these things when it comes to our hombres and hombritas. They rarely make a fuss when one of them gets killed by a police officer. And that's a cultural thing. They're not as political as some people. Some people are very political. Everything's politics, politics, politics. These people, they're more about, you know, business, hard work, communal, like living like 4 families in a house till everybody get on their feet. Community, communal things. And they have their gangs and all that other stuff too.
A rapid fire. Blah, 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 blah. And then 5 minutes later, I hear the police sound right in his neighborhood. And so we have actually FBI used to live next door. Trooper next door behind me here. real estate agency. You know, it's a nice neighborhood. Like I said, I've been here for 37 years. And this is the first time I ever having this post.
Hey, Rafi.
And as you can see, the neighborhood still remains cornered off. This is 95th Street. If you're heading this way, police ask you to please seek alternative routes. Again, stay with us as we learn more. On live Miami Shores, Jessica Vallejo, CBS 4 News.